Well, it's been a long time since we've done a Mount Washington, and this was the perfect time to bring it back up because it's the off season. We want to have a little bit of fun with it. The NFL draft's coming up. So this week's Mount Washington, we're going to be drafting the best or worst, most common. Have we decided how we want to do it?
I think it's our favorite, so it can be a good thing or a bad thing, right?
Favorite. That's the perfect way to put it. Our favorite NFL draft cliches. You know all of them. You've heard them all a million times. Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, they have their go-to ones, but there's also some lower level ones that you might not come straight to the top of your head, but that's why we're here today and we're going to draft them for you. And there are lists online of like hundreds of these. So it's going to be pretty tough. We're going to leave out a lot of really good ones, and people are going to shit on us on Twitter, but there are
We invite
so
that
many
shit.
ones. We love that. We
Yeah.
love that. So there's so many good ones. We once again haven't discussed what order we're going to pick in. So any ideas on that?
I have an idea.
Go.
Last year we did something similar, but we drafted the things that would happen when Kenny Pickett gets drafted. Like they would mention his hand size, they would compare him to Dan Marino, all this and that.
I think it was a bingo board.
Essentially, we drafted each four and then made a prediction for where we would go. I look back, Dylan won. He actually was the only one of us to pick Pickett to go to the Steelers. David, you were next, and then I was third. Those idiots on ESPN didn't say what I thought they were going to say. So we can pick which spot we want based off of those places, or we could do something completely different.
I think that makes perfect sense.
So I think this one's so broad that it really
doesn't really matter. Yeah. So Dylan, what spot do you want to pick in?
I'll take the second one.
I will go third.
Oh, I get first.
Point of clarification. No. I don't want any clarification on the question I had because I think the more broad that this is, the better.
Yeah, it can be something we love or we hate. It's just the best.
And it can be a phrase like oh, arm talent is off the charts, or something
Don't
like.
Spoil anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
We know we're all on the same page.
We know what a cliche is. All right, Squid, go.
So I'm first. I'm going to take sneaky athlete. I think that's the funniest. This also kind of covers like Wes Welker type, just any white guy who is better than you think they would be.
We could have done a whole Mount Washington on NFL draft cliches for white receivers.
NFL draft language is so racially coded.
There was going to be a linebacker from Iowa or Wisconsin drafted, sneaky athlete.
Yeah, and there's a million more of those, and you don't need to be watching the TV, and you could probably guess a little bit about what he looks like and what his childhood was like based on what they say.
Okay, I'm gonna go with quicker than fast. So a guy, he doesn't have burner speed. He didn't run a 4.4, but he's quicker than he is fast, and I feel like that's used for a lot of white guys, and just anyone who doesn't run higher than they were expected to at the combine.
I think a lot of these phrases, you'll see a theme. It's analysts and people making things up that make no sense, but they want to sound smart and make that player sound better than they are. It's like, yeah, he's not fast, but he's fast.
Yeah. So I'll take that one.
I can't believe my first choice is on the board. I'm so happy. I went a little different direction with this one. So mine is an insane or borderline exploitative sob story about every top pick.
Yeah.
Everybody's, grandma that died of old age, everybody's, childhood trauma.
It's like they send out a questionnaire and it's like, Who is the closest person to you that has died tragically?
What is the worst thing that's ever happened to you?
Right.
There was one year ESPN went so overboard with this, and I think they dialed it back a bit because around like pick 20, people on Twitter were like, "What is going on? This is just every
They
other
get
guy bringing up
flamed.
like a family member dying, or like, yeah, this guy's dog died a week ago. He said he won't be there with them at the draft party at the house." It's like, come on, this is a happy night. Let's not make everyone cry.
Before you get like Roger Goodell walks up there, he says a name, and before you get his position, where he went to college, his accomplishments, you get like, oh well, his mother died tragically when he was 4 years old. Roll the clip.
Yep.
Like,
we'll get those. We'll get those this week.
Yeah, a lot of those. And then my second pick, another one I'm really happy to get, is talking about ceilings and floors. How high this guy's ceiling is, how low the floor is, all of it. Every iteration, every permutation. But that the analogy, they love a good house analogy, and that is their favorite, the ceiling and the floor for players.
Got it. I'm gonna go this next one, and more so not the term itself, but just how broad it is red flags. There's a lot of red flags with this guy, and that could be anything from he beat up his college girlfriend to he smoked a joint once, or David, like you said before we started recording, he's like a slight pain in the ass in the locker room,
or like he parties a little bit too much.
They just started saying yellow flags. Like, there's a lot of yellow flags around this guy, so it could be absolutely nothing. He could be like the team captain in 2 years, or maybe he'll be in jail. So they need to have like a color system for this, because not everything can be a red flag.
Because the same like 2 or 3 terms are used for that entire spectrum of killed a guy, whips his teammates with like a rolled up towel a little bit too much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take these off you guys if you plan on using them as one of your picks, but like we know those, we could probably name those other terms.
So point of order for this, Mount Washington. I think when you like, there's a bunch of specific genres of these cliches that all mean the same thing. If Squid says blue collar, I shouldn't be able to say lunch pail.
Yeah, I think like David said, ceiling and floors. I was gonna say upside for one of mine. It's the same thing.
Right. We're on the
character issues.
So
the implied
thing.
character issues, off
the
the field issues. Yeah, it's all together.
Got it.
So I am up, and I'm so glad this came back to me. I was upset whenever you said this out loud when we started, because I thought I would get stolen. Arm talent. I think
arm talent. It's everyone's favorite word now.
Analyzing quarterbacks is so annoying, and there's a few quarterbacks that are better than the rest. But in that second tier, there's a guy that everyone wants to be good. So they say he has arm talent because he's not actually good at throwing a football to players in games, but he looks good doing it.
So
he has arm talent. The list goes on and on. It gets longer each year.
Christian Hackenberg.
You know, guy who they were saying didn't have enough arm talent, or arm talent didn't get brought up much with him.
Average arm talent.
Good enough arm talent was Kenny Pickett's.
Not elite arm talent was one that got thrown around a lot, and that pissed me off a great deal. Squid, you get another one on the back.
This is going to be tough. There's a lot that I like here. I'm going to go with high motor. I think high motor is a good one, especially when you get into the guys in the trenches. They're the guys that play through the whistle and keep the feet churning. I think this one's especially funny because there's always got to be a flip side to these. So you never hear like, oh, this guy's a low motor. He's just lazy, doesn't finish plays. I think it'd be funny if they were honest during these and they're like, yeah, he has a really low motor on the flip side. But high motor is a good one, I think. I think it's supposed to just fat white guys. Peyton Hillis maybe had a high motor.
That is high motor to me is another coded one. It's a dog whistle.
All right. Back to me. Give me passes the eye test.
That's a good one.
This is
That is a
one
good
where
one.
it can get kind of weird too. You'll just hear McShay just talking. I was at his pro day and he was walking around without his shirt on, and he just really passes the eye test. He's put together. His legs are huge. He just looks really good in tight underwear, and you're just like, all right, Todd McShay. Like
He's
been
a
up
ripped
weight-
guy.
Yeah,
This is a ripped guy.
the ripped guy. He looks the
He's a
part.
big yoked dude.
Yeah. So passes the eye test is always a good one because it's always followed up with some maybe a little. Never mind.
It's uncomfortable.
You were going to say erotic.
All
right. I'm up. I use this as an example, but I apologize for the short-term memory. Did anyone take lunch pail, blue collar, hard hat?
Nope, it's yours.
Yes. All right.
I feel like this is just this is the exact script they used when Robert Spillane was drafted. Lunch pail, blue collar, hard nose.
Anybody who's ever played for Wisconsin or Iowa.
Dad worked in the steel mill.
You know
We do get a couple of those.
So what is your official pick? What is going on the graphic? How would you like this worded? Like what's going on the draft card?
I either want lunch pail or blue collar. I know neither of you guys are going to help me.
Lunch pail / blue collar /
We just go blue collar analogies.
There we go.
Yeah. We'll work on the marketing later. And then after that, I'll take another top tier white guy one. Intangibles.
Yeah, that's gone a little too far down the list here, but intangibles is great.
It basically just means like, yeah, he's not actually like a insane athlete relative to pro athletes, but a lot of heart. He tries very hard, and he's a good leader.
We just kind of like him.
Yeah,
He's just somehow good at sports, despite not looking like he'd be
being
good at
like a little
sports.
small and a little slow.
Yeah. Would it be the first pick in a pickup game?
Love it. Well, for my last one, I'm gonna go, and this is like kind of a not as commonly used, but I always like when it gets brought up, and it's just a great football term. It's just plays in a phone booth. And it's just one of those guys who, I mean, I feel like they use it in a couple different situations. Like you can make a guy miss in a phone booth. Those are like the real quick, shifty wide receivers or running backs who can make guys miss. Or it's like he does well in a phone booth. That's like a big offensive lineman who works well in small spaces. But any phone booth analogy, that's always a good one. That's like second round, midway through the day, Kuiper's starting to feel himself. And this wide receiver from Louisiana Tech gets drafted, and he just drops like, he'll make you miss in a phone booth. And then Todd McShay gives him like a wink, like that was a good one.
I like to think that they have like a sheet of these phrases,
right?
And they tick them off as they use them. And I know they spend like a significant amount of the off season thinking of new ones, because I don't know what the hell else Mel Kiper's doing like during the summer.
This,
yeah.
Making far too early mock drafts. Yeah, and if anyone hears any new cliches that we need to keep in mind, please call them out and tweet them at us, because there's so many good ones.
I'm not going to pick this one, but I think another one kind of like passes the eye test. It's kind of weird, but gets a lot of play lately. Is it wide hips for the left and right tackles? I feel like Mel Kiper always talks about guys with like wide or quick hips.
Hips get a lot of play. I actually had oily hips on my list, because they use that for like corners and safeties and linebackers and coverage. A lot of hip talk. So what is your last one?
My last pick. Can I go with I don't know if this is too similar to yours. You know what? Never mind. I'm going with coach's kid. I think anytime there's a player who's the son of a coach, they have to bring it up. It's
Obligatory.
they do their research, like the pre-dive research, like we talked about the traumatic events. They get an email. They'll say, like, tell us who your favorite player was growing up. Any traumatic events recently we can talk about on the broadcast. Next one is, was your dad, grandpa, uncle, or anyone else a coach? Check yes or no. And if it is, they say, oh, he's the son of a coach, so we'll know the playbook.
You don't get to use this, but like they love when a guy's from a football family and they can just beat the hell out of it.
Football family.
Yeah, even just the phrase football family. It's
Uncle
gonna
played
get
Division II. Cousin played. Cousin was a GA at Slippery Rock. It's just a football family. Love
football
it.
family, yeah.
All right. Well, I know we have some honorable mentions that we didn't actually get to pick. Everyone has 4, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I was going to pick raw talent with my last one there.
Raw, yeah.
It's kind of similar to the upside one. It's like, yeah, this guy isn't good yet, but maybe he will be.
I like has all the measurables. You got like if a guy tests well, but he sucked in college, he has all the measurables.
Freak
I would
athlete.
say lengthy. I think lengthy is kind of a creepy one. They talk about cornerbacks and receivers.
Great
like
length.
That left tackle who has like a 7-foot wingspan. Like all that length will help him big time.
Dylan, I had 2 thoughts. I was really jealous that you got red flag. And just off of that, what I had for that was a little bit more specific, but like a super obscure red flag getting blown out of proportion leading up to like in the days before the draft and becomes a big storyline.
Like CJ Stroud.
That's exactly what it was based on. And it's just because a team that really wanted him planted it because they would benefit by his stock falling. And then usually it just kind of spirals out of control because somebody was just in Brady Quinn's ear just like, hey, we hope he's there at 2. Can you just like drop that he did this once? And then it becomes a whole ass storyline.
Yeah.
And then sorry.
No, you're good. I was just going to say the draft is so predictable. This happens every single time.
Every single year. But on the flip side, I didn't want to mirror your pick, but I also had really high on the list the opposite of character concerns, the locker room guy or the high character guy.
High character. Yep. That's a good one. This kind of went hand in hand with arm talent, so I didn't take it, but can make all the throws.
Mm-hmm.
Make all the levels. NFL throws. Yep. I'm just gonna start blasting what I have here. Day one starter is a good one. Flies around any defensive player who gets a lot of tackle. Most linebackers fly around. I always like
the sideline.
Yep. I always like the good. He's a football player. Like yes.
Oh, that's a good one.
This guy.
That's
in
the
NFL
Pat Narduzzi
draft,
special.
Yep. This guy in the NFL draft is indeed a football player. But exactly what they mean when they say it. It's just like he's a football player.
Whenever Pat Narduzzi gives his yearly signing day press conference, there's about like 18 players he runs through. He's like, oh, quarterback, this guy, blah, blah, blah. He'll get to a guy, he won't know what to say at first. He's like, oh, yeah, Ryan Jacoby. Yeah, he's a football player. He's a football player. Like, oh, okay, so he's pretty good. Got it.
High football IQ. Great get off because you can use it for every position but quarterback. Like if you say this guy has a great get off based on his position, you know what they mean, and it applies to all of them. And then another fun one I had was a girlfriend or really any family member making it about themselves. That's a good one. We've seen some really, really uncomfortable examples of that in the past, and it's usually like a dad stepping in front of the camera and overdoing it, or a girlfriend that is very convinced that she has been the receiver of a bag.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I really wasn't that juiced for the draft. Like I was getting excited for it, but this just has me so excited for all the other stuff that goes with it.
It's so fun.
It's way too fun for an event that really shouldn't be this fun.
Like this, they could have just made the draft a meeting.
It could have been an email. An email.
It literally could have been an email or a Teams meeting, and instead we get to be privy to all of this magic and madness.
It could have just been like any other fantasy draft, just like we do. Say, all right, all the GMs log in.
Couple beers.
The commissioner, he'll make sure everything goes smoothly. No one is on auto pick.
Honestly, the draft is too good and too entertaining. But if for any reason they ever wanted to scrap this idea, I like the idea of sending all 32. Every team sends a representative, whether it's the GM or the head coach, and they send them to like a Buffalo Wild Wings or something, and they literally have to sit around the table and make each of their picks like in each other's faces, just like, oh, I wanted Justin Jefferson, and they have to drink while they do it. It would be great TV.
And there's one terrible GM that takes a kicker in the third round. They all laugh at him.
Yeah.
One more, Jim Rat.
Oh,
Dude, I know we missed some good ones.
hit us up with the ones that we missed the worst. We're gonna put this out there for a vote, but let us know what we missed, because there's a trillion of these. But that probably wraps it up for the draft talk. Best of luck to all the Panthers participating. But now we have a very special interview with the national champion himself, Nino Bonacorsi. He jumps on to tell us what winning a championship was like, peeing in a cup after. Actually, mostly that. We talked a lot about the post-match drug test, but guy's got some awesome stories about his win, and we think you're gonna love it. Thank you again to Nino for joining us. I am genuinely excited to try that Millie's flavor. I love cannoli, and that, like, if you get like little waffle chunks in it, that's perfect. I really, really looking forward to that. Hope he sends us some. That'd be killer. But congrats again to him for the national championship, and best of luck as he prepares to take a shot at the Olympics. Before we wrap up, though, I would like to hear some final thoughts from all of you guys as we head into one of the most beautiful weekends of the spring, and that is draft weekend. But first, I would like to hear what you guys have to say.
I'll kick us off. Just wanted to bring up how our boy Kenny Pickett. I mean, how many times has Kenny's name already been said in this episode? But
not enough.
You're right, not enough. Kenny Pickett. Kenny showed up to, I don't even know what was that, OTAs, minicamp, or just workouts.
Was photographed in public.
They're just back in town.
They're back in town, back at the facility.
The boys are back in town.
Boys are back down in the South Side facility, and Kenny is looking thick. Kenny Thicket, as he was dubbed on Twitter. I think he said he was 213 at the end of last season, and he's up to 226, and it's visible. And I love that Kenny was just spending this offseason getting yoked. We saw a couple times last year he got a little ragdolled by some bigger defenders. The offensive line didn't do him many favors, but I love that he's putting on some pounds, and he's simply just going to run through some linebackers' face masks.
Oh, yeah.
This season.
I think it was hilarious. I think it was you, Dylan. You sent that in our GM and said, Kenny looking a little thick right now. And then within 20 seconds in a separate GM, someone else sent, looks like Kenny's been housing some beers lately. So I saw the picture and I thought maybe it's just like a baggy shirt. Maybe it was windy, bad angle from the photographer, but I think everyone's on the same page. Like Kenny's been putting in that work.
Filling at, yeah. Yeah, no, it's enough of a thing that he was kind of forced to comment on it, and he was at least asked about it, and he said, it was a big priority this offseason to put on a little bit of weight. He didn't get the opportunity to really like work out last year, because straight from the season to draft prep, straight from the draft to rookie camp, and learning the playbook and starting to train with Steelers receivers. So this was his first opportunity in years to put on some big boy pounds.
Also, it is more beneficial for the combine to be quicker and lighter because all you're doing is running, doing those agility drills. You want to look real good in tight clothes. So it is kind of dumb that for the combine, you have to like get super thin and look different than how you would in an actual game day. It's like an audition, but it's a lie. So he said it'd be better if
So like
he was at
every
this
job
pulling
interview
weight.
ever.
Correct. You just lie
Yeah.
about your resume and then show up and are not good at your job.
Except
Not
Kenny
me or
is
Kenny Pickett, yeah.
extremely. I don't care about you. Kenny Pickett is extremely good at his job.
Yeah.
What about you, Squid?
Well, after the long off season last year of West Virginia fans being annoying about just about everything, but specifically attendance, we all know the vivid seats, 75% of Acrisure Stadium debacle. We don't care about that. That's all noise. We care about the results in the field here in Pittsburgh. Well, I think it was the blue and I don't know what the fuck they called it. West Virginia's spring game happened, and there were 298 people in attendance. I saw this picture. Some innocent reporter posted a picture pregame of his view from the press box of the game, and I counted every person in the stands, and there were 298. And then Pitt fans lit them up. Oh, I thought you cared about attendance. Blah blah blah. I hope they have a terrible year. I hope we pummel them so bad that it is 75% Pitt fans in their stadium come the fourth quarter. I want nothing but the worst for West Virginia fans.
Neil Brown, not a very popular guy in Morgantown right now.
Yeah, no, he's a dead man walking.
Dead man walking. Yeah, no, that was cool to see. I love it. One of those reap what you sow, fuck around and find out type situations, but they're in for a hell of a year. So I'll close it out. My final thought is David Bednar, closer for the Pirates. He's perfect. He is so perfect for what one that organization is building, and two, to be pitching in the exact situation that he is. He is a big old Mars boy that walks out to Renegade.
Yeah, he's like a real life Kenny Powers.
He comes out, they play a baseball version of Renegade, and he looks the part, and he is from the area. And closers have the best job in the entire world because you get called in for 1 inning, throw 9 balls as hard as you possibly can, and then you get all the glory. And so for that reason, they always be, when a team goes on a run in baseball, it seems like the closer always like becomes super famous from it and is like the toast of the town.
Yeah, it's like you rally around the closer.
Yes.
It's like because when Bednar's coming in, you're like, okay, we have a chance to win the game, and this guy's coming in to seal it. And he's coming into Renegade, and he's drinking a icy light, and he just wiped off his face with his terrible towel. Like,
I was about to say, Bednar hangs around, spits seeds for 8 innings, comes out to Renegade, pumps cheddar, and then houses her Hermandy sandwich and goes to bed. Does the same thing the next day. Yinzer, absolute Yinzer.
Obviously, McCutcheon is going to be the face of that team, and there are a bunch of young guys that are going to, I think, grasp the hearts and minds of Yinzers everywhere. But consider him among that mix to have a meteoric profile rise in the city of Pittsburgh, assuming they continue to keep winning games at the rate that they are, which is a high rate.
16-7 at the time we're recording this. We don't usually delve into baseball too often, but when when the Battling Bucks are playing like they are now, they have to get some face time.
That they do. So heading into the weekend, or out of the weekend, because today is Sunday. That's your homework. Go root on the Buccos. Go root on some Panthers to make some money this weekend. And as always, Dylan, this is your line.
Hail, loyal sons of Pittsburgh.